Bruno Mars, Travis Scott, Marshmello, and Ariana Grande. All incredibly famous celebrities with one obvious thing in common. They're actually all Fortnite characters. Now, I'm not here to make fun of Fortnite. I used to play Fortnite, and I think it's pretty cool that they can get a bunch of celebrities and characters that a lot of people love and throw them into one place. I mean, where else can Goku hit a trick shot on LeBron? But I do want to talk about pop games. Haven't heard of pop games before? That makes sense because I made it up right now. I promise it makes sense though. In the music industry, you have a wide range of music genres, right? You've got alternative, metal, indie, hip hop, rock, and then country is like almost music. And then obviously there's pop, right? Which for most of my life dominated radio stations and iTunes charts. And I get why. The songs are catchy, they're easy to listen to, they appeal to a lot of people, and I think they're usually a lot of fun. And then I think there's pop video games. Call of Duty, Mario Kart, your sports games, and Fortnite. And these games are popular for good reason too. I think they have that same appeal that pop music had in like the 2010s. I mean, for me, there's nothing like getting on to play Mario Kart with friends. I also have a really good time playing FIFA too. But that's not to say that you can ignore the kind of glaring set of problems that these games have. Ideas that once felt like they were fresh, they kind of feel like they're feeding you the same thing over and over again now. I feel like they're avoiding risks, and sometimes it's pretty clear that they just aren't trying.
Who have thought
About what?
that a young buck like you could actually do the right thing and avoid getting his sorry
I had a
butt kicked
teammate
out the
hold me
game?
back. He told me to chill.
Sounds like a wise fella.
And this sucks, because there's also been this narrative that's come up recently that video games are boring, or they're bad, or they're all the same thing. And you know, I think I'd understand that viewpoint if all you're playing is Call of Duty. I just think that they're looking in the wrong places. And this is why I've been thinking a lot lately about how many weird and creative ideas for games are out there that just don't get any attention. And I want people to be talking about these kinds of games because they're willing to take risks. Risks that this kind of mainstream game outlet won't really take. Give me some Freak Folk. Give me some Wizard Rock. Give me some Witch House. Consider me your Spotify Discover Weekly. I know how good it feels to find a new song you end up falling in love with and you start to question how you even lived before discovering that artist in the first place. For me, there's no better feeling than that same experience, but when you find a new video game that you love. And this week, I want to share some really special games that I love that you probably haven't played and hope that you find a new favorite. Have you ever been interested in the role-playing and the journey that comes with D&D, but never had a group to play with? Were you interested in Baldur's Gate, but intimidated by the fact that you could punt a squirrel into the afterlife and have sex with a bear? Well, then I have just the game for you. Wildermyth is a procedurally generated tactical RPG that looks a lot like a kid's storybook came to life and turned into a tabletop game, and I think that's pretty damn cool. There's a lot of adventuring and strategy, but it's made pretty obvious that the heart of this game is its characters, which are either randomized or customized, and you'll pick 3 or 4 to start out before going into a campaign. So kind of like Oregon Trail. And for me, I love putting myself and my friends in there to make things more exciting and personal. It also finally gave me the opportunity to live out my dream of dating Emma Watson. I remember this one girl I met in my first campaign. We fell in love, killed a bunch of octopus people in turn-based D&D fashion. I fought off a girl in our party who was totally into me, and we saved the day and made out. Campaign done. Kind of. Because in Wildermyth, you carry your characters over from one campaign to the next. So me and my eventual video game wife ended up having a kid, and our kid joined us in our adventures. And when I went back to check out this game again for this video, I looked and we were all still there. Me and my gray hair and everything. What also makes this game really intense is the fact that your characters can die. For good. In a heated battle with my family to save the world, my son sacrificed himself to kill the final boss. And after hours of having him as a character and getting to know him, moments like this can actually sting. This game rocks, the strategic turn-based combat is really cool, go buy it. Wildermyth is $25 on Steam. I love when games are loud, cool, and make you feel like you're ridiculously high on shrooms. This one does all of that and should really come with an epilepsy warning. I'm actually not joking. If you're sensitive to anything like that, please, I will put a timestamp to when you can come back to this video. For those of you that are still here, Everhood is a game that wears its inspiration on its sleeve. It's like Undertale and Guitar Hero had a baby, and it's as fun as it sounds. The first thing that needs to be talked about in this game is the music. Every song is really great here, whether it's the high-paced music in a fight or the slower music that's playing while you navigate the world. I had a blast with the gameplay too. It's for me hands down the best part of the whole package. You're bobbing and weaving musical attacks that eventually evolves to a point where there's legitimate boss battles with hit points that you have to knock out of them. And it was at this point that I really fell in love with the game, even if at some points it gets pretty damn hard. Everhood also has unreal personality with characters that I really enjoyed spending time with, and an ending, one of the few, that were really fun. Weirdly enough, I think that this psychedelic trip is really easy to recommend, and the less you know about it, the better. Everhood is $10 on Steam and Nintendo Switch. The cool thing about video games is how drastically different they can be. You can have an in-your-face action-packed roller coaster, and then you can have a delicate visual novel that touches on a girl falling in love, growing up, and figuring out who she is. Florence made me cry, I'll say it. And it's a result of the beautiful soundtrack, the art style, and the way that the gameplay captures what certain moments in life feel like. For example, there's a section where Florence is going on a first date, and you have to drag these tiny little puzzle pieces to complete a speech bubble. At the beginning of the date, they're harder to put together because we all know those first date butterflies. But as the date goes on, the pieces are bigger and easier to put together, which I think is a really neat way of showing how conversation gets easier when you're more comfortable around someone. Some other really special gameplay moments are when Florence is in the honeymoon phase of her relationship. She works as an accountant, and at the beginning of the game, you have to match these numbers together, but as she's going on dates and thinking about Raj, her boyfriend, all of these tasks that seem so boring and trivial just actually do themselves. And that's what it feels like when you're falling in love. You'll finish this game in 30 minutes, and it'll be 30 minutes well spent, and it'll only set you back about $6. Florence is $3 on mobile and $6 on Steam and Nintendo Switch. Voice acting can make or break a video game. It has the ability to completely change the way that you relate to the characters, and has a lot to do with creating a convincing story. For a long time growing up, voice acting seemed secondary to gameplay. I mean, I'm like a fucking Lego pizza delivery driver. This is sick. I'm a crazy taxi. I may have just killed a pedestrian. There's Mickey Mouse in a robe. That's sick. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that a lot of my favorite games now are actually really narrative-driven games. Even though this game I'm gonna talk about right now is an indie game, it has some of the best voice acting and writing in any piece of media that I've ever had, full stop. And it's also one of my favorite games of all time.
I'm headed off to Shoshone, where the birds and the bees won't know me. Man and war won't exist no more, and there ain't no gals to keep no score.
There are only a handful of video games that I've played in my life that actually make me feel emotionally invested in a character, and Firewatch is one of them. And out of all the games here on this list, this is probably the one that you've heard of. The story follows Henry and starts off with a series of prompts and choices to make on how he handles situations in his life that help you better understand him and why he's going to work as a Firewatch in the first place. Before we even start the main part of the game, I care for him. What follows is a really compelling adventure and mystery to unravel and fires to manage, and even though I enjoyed that, the heart of this game is the relationship between two characters, Henry and Delilah. Delilah is Henry's boss, and they communicate with each other through these walkie-talkies. And if you look close enough, you can barely make out each other's towers in the distance. I never in a million years thought on the Mount Rushmore of video game relationships, one of them would be between two people who haven't even seen each other face to face. And that is a result of how real these voice actors make the characters feel. They're both witty, sarcastic, and actually just really enjoy talking to each other.
There are, panties.
There are what?
I don't want to say that word again.
Why, 'cause you're 12?
There are 2 naked ladies out here.
Can you handle that?
Come on, I like naked ladies, same as anyone, but there's, you know.
2?
Yeah.
Go get yourself a hot chocolate, a nice blanket. Carve out 3 to 4 hours to play Firewatch because you'll finish it in that time. It changed the way that I view video games, and I hope that it does the same thing for you too. Firewatch is on Steam, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox for $20. It's also on Game Pass. I hope that you found one of these games interesting and are willing to try them out. Steam also has like a 2-hour refund policy on games, so you can just try it if you're really interested. And the great thing is that there's so many more games like this that are waiting for you to play them. When it comes down to it, it's okay to love Crystal Angel, A Guiding Light, and Taylor Swift. Both ends of the spectrum have the ability to bring people together and make you feel something, even though they look a little different. I really believe that games like this should have you interested in the world of creativity that exists outside of what you might know. And it should have you expecting more creativity and change from studios that don't think that they need to do that anymore. Because I truly believe that the more people venturing out there and trying something new, the better. And I hope that lesser known things like these get a couple more people excited about what there is to offer. And the good news is, I think that's beginning to happen.
Sea of Stars is one of the greatest fucking games.
I loved Bomb Rush
Pizza
Cyber.
Tower is unbelievably good.
Sometimes you just have to keep looking a little bit. Thank you so much for watching this video, my first video. I'm not entirely sure I know what I'm doing, but I'm having fun doing it, so I appreciate you watching all the way to the end. If you want to connect with other people who are really passionate about video games and want to have some fun events, join our Discord. It's going to be in the description. I've also crafted this Harry Potter Hogwarts house competition, so you have a whole director's sorting hat thing too. I think it's pretty fun, so check it out if you're interested. Anyways, thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and go play a video game. Tell your mom you love her.